Welcome, I'm Professor DIY, and in today's episode I will show you how to replace both receptacles and switches in your house and save money by not having to hire an electrician. As long as the electricity is off, this is a safe and very easy process to do. So one of the things we're talking about attention to detail, this receptacle here, which is a GFCI that protects this bathroom, our other bathroom, and all the outside receptacles, it's the same GFCI. The previous owners have put a white plate over it, but it looks even worse, I think.
Yeah.
So we bought a GFCI that it is the correct color, and we are going to replace it today.
So what have we done to make sure that we're safe with electricity?
We prayed. No, in all seriousness, you always need to make sure that you have electricity off. And one of the best ways to ensure that will be with the use of one of these tools, which is a non-contact voltage detector. And here, if you come here, see, this is not off, this is live. And the moment we go close to it, you see it immediately responds, right?
Yep.
And we know this is live because the light is on.
Right.
And this is the switch to the light.
Yep.
Now, this is our second attempt at fixing this because the first attempt failed because we had a defective device. So what we're going to do is we're going to remove the old device, replace it with the new one. And if you do not know what this is a PSX screwdriver, which is specifically made for electrical work. You see it? It's kind of funny looking. It's like a combination of a Robinson and a straight. Do you know what the Robinson is, Mrs. DIY?
I don't.
A lot of people in our country call it the Canadian model or the square. Okay, and this was our load. So we need to bring our new receptacle, put those in the load, take the bottom ones, put them in the line, because again, this specific one protects a lot of outlets, right? You might have something different, you might have a singular one, and that's fine, right? But if you have either one, you need to make sure that you put the incoming power on the load and the outgoing in the line, otherwise it will not work.
And how do you know which one is the load?
It is written. You see where it says load?
Oh.
So
yep.
if you do not know your wires, which in this case we didn't wire this, so we didn't know, you need to make sure that you don't take all of them off and then try to find out what is what. So I don't know if this is easy to see, but we have the load on the top where my fingers are, and we're going to insert. Remember when you're wiring, black goes to brown, or not brown, the brass, and white goes to silver. And then give it a tug. And again, silver, as you can see the screw here, right? The process is the same for non-GFCI outlets, but you do not have load and line.
You tighten it till you can't tighten it anymore?
Right. But then always tag it, right? Because you never know. That came out easily. And doing it this way, you cannot make a mistake, right?
Hopefully.
Theoretically. And the last thing you always detach is your ground, which is bare in the United States. In other parts of the world, it is not bare. So the last thing that we are connecting is the ground, and that is actually the wrong sequence. Usually this is the first thing you need to connect in a new circuit. This was a little challenging for us because the original electrician, as you can see, created a loop in a continuous cable, and I didn't want to change that, so okay, turn it around, and now we need to test it. So now we're going to send Mrs. DIY to the circuit breakers and turn it on. We do not have live wires anywhere, so we can insert the new receptacle inside our box. And we are not live here, which is exactly what we want, right? And now it is having time. Okay, I need the screwdriver. Now, before we reach this point, the other one, we don't have the other one? I guess I'll use this one, but I really want that.
Before we reach this point,
we tested that the receptacle works, and you need to do that, but in order to do that you need to turn the power back on, right?
yeah.
I need to get this is exactly on the, I cannot do it. Can you do it?
Yes.
Super electrical.
This is the PCX drive, which is the correct drive for this application. And just make the visual before we tighten fully that it is correctly oriented, and then you're good to go. You do not need a PCX to do this job. You can use a flathead and or a Phillips, but the correct one is the PCX because it allows you to torque much more, you know? So you could never put that much torque with a Phillips or a flat. The screw strips, right?
Sometimes the littlest things are the most frustrating.
Well, and in this little old house, nothing is straight or non-crooked, right? But still, this is a much better presentation than before. And we might just take it off a little bit and make it more straight. There is nothing we did wrong. The box apparently is crooked, right?
Like
right? Much better, right? So here we are in a darkened bathroom because we need those to be powered off. Again, even though the light is off, which is an indication, we're going to go through each of the switches and check our black wires to ensure we do not get electrocuted, right? A couple of things that I see that are already troubling is that these are not electric screws, right? These are electric screws. So someone has done something wrong here, which is not surprising. So what we're going to do next is remove those and replace each switch with a new switch. So once they're removed, you just pull it out and we're going to bring a new one and replace it. This is a pretty straightforward operation, as long as you take care that you're not getting electrocuted, right?
Yeah, that's important.
Make sure your power is off. Another critical point is that the switches have an orientation, in case you didn't know that. So you need to have it so the on is down, so when the switch is off, you can read the word off. Can you read it?
Yep.
Okay, that's important. So we're going to do the other three and we'll be right back. So make sure your orientation of your switch is correct. And if you can read the word off when the switch is off. And now we're going to install the switch, which is a pretty straightforward process, said he, right? Installation is the reverse of removal. Now we're going to push it back in and attach the screws. The bottom line.
But we have a wire sticking out. That's probably the problem.
So make sure you have your wires pushed back. I made a mistake and I didn't push one of the wires back and it was not allowing us to go straight in. But once your wires are back, it should be a fairly straightforward process. And we're not going to show you only one. We're going to do the other two off camera because this is not exactly the most riveting cinematography you can get. And it already looks better, right?
It does.
Very good.
Folks, clearly it works because it works. The lights are on.
Well,
Clearly it works.
for context, Elpida said, do you have the tester on? Clearly it works because it works. But here,
See, it works. And the fan's on.
they're nice and white, the correct screws. Wow,
Yeah.
what an upgrade, right? I keep scratching my head of who built this house, both plumbing and electrical. Just for giggles, the circuit breaker for this is labeled floodlights. We had to turn every breaker off to find out. This is how it's supposed to look. Now we're going to put the face, and one of the tricky parts when you have 3 or 4 switches like that is you might have to make small adjustments because you want the plate to
So
fit.
as you can see here, zoom a little bit of a play in this. So if we needed to wiggle any of the switches back and forth.
So our plate is up and our switches look fantastic, and some people simply should never DIY. You see those missing screws? Well, first of all, you can see the ones we put there that they were brown. The missing screws were actually plastic, and no, we're not going to put plastic screws back there. We're going to replace them with white ones, right? Again, some people should never DIY. This is just tacky, right? I mean, why would you do that? And keep in mind that those screws were in a white. This is the original. We didn't change that. So not only they didn't bother to put new switches on, but they put brown screws on. Horrible, horrible, horrible. But anyway, it is fantastic now. It turns on, it turns off. The floodlights work. This concludes our episode for today, and we appreciate you watching. If you found this episode useful, we'll appreciate the thumbs up. If you don't, please hit the other button twice. Share, like, subscribe, and let us know, do you like how-to videos like this? From Professor DIY, let's fix something together.